We're always told honesty is the best policy, right? But is it always? What happens when telling the truth could actually hurt the people you care about? Your friends, your team, or maybe even your country? Yeah, that's the tricky moral line we're going to explore today. See, this is where two really big values just smash right into each other: our duty to be honest and that powerful instinct to be loyal to our group. And it's a dilemma you see literally everywhere, from the playground all the way up to the global stage. So let's just put it out there. Have you ever been in a situation where lying actually felt like the right thing to do, the most loyal thing you could do for your group? That's the exact question we're digging into. And it turns out there's actually a name for this kind of lie. It's called a blue lie. Now, this isn't a lie you tell to save your own skin. It's a lie you tell to help your group. The term actually comes from the idea of the blue wall of silence, that unspoken code where officers might protect one of their own. It's a classic case of honesty versus loyalty. So this got a team of researchers thinking, how do we actually feel about these blue lies? And more importantly, does that feeling change as we get older? I mean, does a 9-year-old see this the same way a 17-year-old does? Well, they decided to find out. And this wasn't just a small project. We're talking about a major international collaboration. Researchers from all over teamed up, from Hangzhou Normal University, the University of Toronto, the University of California, Zhejiang Normal University, Zhejiang University of Technology, and the University of British Columbia. A real global effort. Okay, so how in the world do they study this? Let's get into the nuts and bolts of their research. It's actually pretty clever. All right, so the study involved 160 kids. And they were a pretty specific group. We're talking about kids and teens from ages 9 to 17. They were all from a big city in East China. All were Han Chinese, and they came from all sorts of socioeconomic backgrounds. So this gives us a really interesting and specific cultural lens to look through. The way they did it was actually pretty simple. First, the kids would listen to these short stories. In each story, a character was put in a tough spot. Either lie to help their group, say their classmates or their country's team, or tell the truth, even if it hurt their group. After the story, the kids had to rate what the character did on a scale from very, very bad to very, very good. Okay, so they've got all this data. What did they find out? Well, the results showed something really clear, a fascinating shift in how these kids judged the situations as they got older. Take a look at this chart. Now, what I want you to focus on are those dashed lines down at the bottom. Those show the ratings for lying. See how they start to creep up as you move from the younger kids on the left to the older ones on the right? It means that, as they get older, they start judging these blue lies less and less harshly. And this really is the core finding. The study puts it this way: the oldest participants tended to rate lying for any form of collective less negatively than the younger kids did. So, put simply, the older they got, the more okay they were with lying for the team. But why is that? Well, the answer seems to be tied to another huge discovery. As kids grow up, their whole idea of what the group even is starts to change. It's like their circle of loyalty just gets bigger and bigger. And this breaks it down so well. For the youngest group, the 9 to 11-year-olds, the team was their class. They were most lenient on lies that helped their classmates. Fast forward to age 13, and that loyalty had expanded to the whole school. And then, by 17, the group they were most willing to bend the truth for, their entire country. So what we're seeing here is this amazing developmental journey, right? A kid's sense of who they belong to starts really small and personal, the people they sit next to in class every day. But as they grow, that identity just expands outward to include these bigger, more abstract ideas like school spirit and eventually national identity. Okay, so what does this all mean for us? Especially if you're a parent or a teacher, you might hear this and think, oh no, my kid is going to start lying more. But actually, the big takeaways here are pretty reassuring. First things first, this absolutely does not mean that older kids just decide honesty doesn't matter anymore. That's not what this is about at all. What it really means is that their moral thinking is getting way more complex. They're starting to see that the world isn't just black and white. They're learning that really important values like honesty and loyalty can sometimes clash. It's like their internal moral compass is getting more sophisticated, learning how to balance these different forces. So the big takeaways are that a child's moral world is always growing and changing. As their understanding of loyalty expands, they're naturally going to run into these tough situations. And this tells us that maybe our job isn't just to say never lie, but to actually have those open conversations, to help them figure out how to balance telling the truth with protecting the people they care about. And that really leaves us with something important to think about, doesn't it? It's not about handing kids a simple rule book for life. It's about giving them the tools to think for themselves. So the question for all of us is, how can we help them navigate that complicated gray area between being honest and being loyal? Thank you for listening to the Integrity Law podcast. This podcast initiative is coming to you from researchers at the Child Studies Labs from the University of Toronto and University of British Columbia.